I'd like to call the Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Ms. Brown, would you please take the roll?
Sunday. Here. Mumgard. Here. Gaines. Here. Glover. Here. Fansla. Here. Klug. Stube. Here. Engberg.
Here. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
We do.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. Got one presentation tonight, Gross Sarpy. Lisa, thanks for coming out on a Tuesday night after a long weekend.
Okay, I'll just say this. My voice is at the end today, so I apologize.
Well, I think this is only the second one you've done with us now.
This is actually my first.
This is the first?
This is my first.
We do televise this, so
Okay.
since it is the first, and you might be a new face to some folks, do you want to give a little brief
Yes.
intro as well?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hi,
Welcome.
I'm Lisa Sheave. I'm the new executive director for Grow Sarpy. I've been with the organization since January. You'll start to see me on a much regular basis as we kind of develop a little bit more of a cadence going forward. Just kind of needed those first 6 months under my belt to make some administrative changes, get my feet wet a little bit more. So happy to be here this evening. Been working in economic development within the region for the last 10 years. So I'm happy to be focusing specifically on Sarpy County right now. You all received a copy of our report in your packets, I believe, and I'd like to read it word for word. Just kidding. When I first started, I met with city staff and they said, you know, you really could change things up a little bit when it comes to the report. So I'll say this. You received a copy of my report. Happy to go over any details with you here this evening or outside of the council meeting if you have questions. But the things that I'll note is that project activity has been continuing to be well for us. We have about 5 projects in the pipeline right now. We have some existing industry, which I think is great, as well as some new to market projects that we continue to work on. Other things that I would note for you is over the last 10 years, our building permits, whether that be single family or multifamily, have continued to have an upward trajectory, except for last year. Last year they dipped. And I think that can be attributed to questions with the economy, inflation, questions with interest rates. I think things kind of just stalled a little bit. So you'll notice that as we kind of go into 2024, those numbers are starting to kind of go back to where they were pre-2023. So still moving upwards. I don't know how we're going to be able to continue to sustain all of that, taking into inflation, cost of doing business, interest rates, those things as well. But so those are just a couple pieces that I wanted to note. A couple other things I wanted to share with you this evening was when I was hired, I was asked to put together a strategic plan, not just a year-to-year strategic plan, but a multi-year strategic plan, allowing us to build a little bit more on our vision, being able to expand upon some of those goals that take longer than just a year to put into fruition. Sometimes you just get started and the year is done. And so this allowed us to expand upon some of those pieces. So it's divided up into 6 different areas. Business retention and expansion is at the home of what we will do. So working with existing industry, we will go out and meet with over 100 different businesses within Sarpy County each year, trying to get a good pulse as to what's going on, what's taking place. When appropriate, we'll partner with Michelle or Mark or Amber or Mayor Black to participate in ones that are here in Papillion and continue to bring that feedback to the team as we continue to look at different trends that are out there. Site development will continue to be at the key of what we do. We've been very successful in that realm in the past. We want to continue to look out 3, 4, 5 years to see where that industrial growth is going to continue to occur within the county. I could go on to list off the other pieces, but those were 2 pieces that I thought were really important as it pertains to the work that we do, not only in Sarpy County, but specifically here in Papillion. A couple other things I wanted to touch on was we just launched our 4th year of construction kits. Each year we will put together construction kits that go out to the trades classes within Sarpy County middle schools and high schools. We give out about 1,200 of those packets each year. This year, we're trying to find a way to grow into the second semester. It traditionally has just been a first semester project, trying to find a way to continue to partner with education into that second semester. Since it's the 4th year, some of these kids have now been around these trades programs, maybe 3-4 years. Is there some kind of commonality that we can find or programming that we can do second semester to match with what we did during the first semester? So you'll be hearing hopefully more about that throughout the year as we continue to focus on it.
And again, on that point, I think some people wonder, why is economic development going into the high schools? But I think the goal is to introduce them to the trades, the opportunity in Sarpy, and then through the project, it's actually the industry that's helping with the trade, so they're actually getting to know the employers, what the opportunities are, and then I think the idea is, hey, the trades is a good thing, and you can stay here, and then it goes to the workforce, because we need the workforce.
Exactly. So on those business retention and expansion visits that we do, workforce is always one of the very top of the mind things that people are asking about. So again, finding ways that we can partner with education to bring awareness about different industries that are available right here in their backyard is one thing that we're going to continue to focus on. 10 years ago, if you were to ask us that probably wouldn't have been the focus, but that's how we need to continue to evolve as an organization to make sure that we're continuing to meet the needs of our community as well as our county.
And if we would have started 10 years ago, those freshmen in high school would have been out of their trade and probably 4 to 5 years in the workforce already.
Right. Exactly. So again, it's trying to make that connection and developing those relationships. So if they want to do some type of apprenticeship, they have that ability to do so and make those decisions.
Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Again, you have a copy of my report. If you have questions on it, happy to touch on it outside of this meeting or to meet with you.
Well, getting the update tonight's important because we're actually approving next year's budget, and the reinvestment in the organization is one of the line items. So again, appreciate the partnership.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Any council have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Powers, administrator's report, please.
Thank you. I have a quick report tonight. I hope you all had a great Labor Day weekend. Just a couple of things. As part of the Papillion Arts Foundation and the city's efforts to create a creative district, the Papillion Arts and Culture Survey is currently active. A paper copy of the survey was sent out to the residents, or will be sent out as part of the September mayor's newsletter. And there's also on that newsletter, there's also a link to fill out the survey online for residents that prefer that option. And the link is www.papillion.org/arts survey. So please encourage citizens to fill that out if they get a chance. This is a critical piece of what we're trying to establish as part of the creative district to make sure that we're focusing our efforts on boosting the arts and culture of what the residents want to see. And additionally, we're continuing to meet with Confluence related to the design for the City Park Improvement Project. Confluence has taken the input from each of you and has updated a couple concepts for you to consider. And we'll be having follow-up meetings with all of you within the next week, and I believe 2 of you are tonight. And just a reminder that we do have funding in the current and the upcoming budget for the first phase of that project, whatever we determine or whatever you guys determine that first phase is, which is why we're holding these meetings and trying to get some sort of consensus with each of you. And then a couple of reminders of upcoming events. The annual naturalization ceremony hosted by the Papillion Area Historical Society is coming up. It'll be Tuesday, September 17th at 12:30 p.m. in front of the Portal School, which is where it's been held the last several years. And we encourage as many residents as possible to attend that and to help welcome and show their support for the newest U.S. citizens. And then finally, if you can, make plans to attend the Papillion Downtown Business Association's open house for the downtown businesses, which will be on September 13th and 14th. Several great promotions will be happening during that. And those both days are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Sunday. Second by Councilman Gaines. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item E1, Ordinance 2033, an ordinance to amend Papillion Municipal Code Section 46.8 to coincide with amendments to Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1412. Is there, it's a public hearing. I'll open it. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Item E2, ordinance 2034, an ordinance to approve a change of zone from AG agricultural to LI limited industrial for the property legally described as the west half of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 10, Township 13 North, Range 11 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located southeast of South 168th Street and Capehart Road. The applicant is Metropolitan Utilities District. It's the Southwest Reservoir and Pump Station. It's a public hearing. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Item F1, Resolution R240153, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a preliminary plat for the property legally described as the west, this is a related item, the west half of the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter, Section 10, Township 13 North, Range 11 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located southeast of South 168th Street and Capehart Road. The applicant is Metropolitan Utilities District, again, the Southwest Reservoir and Pump Station. It's a public hearing. Any proponents or opponents? Close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R240153? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilman Ingberg. Any discussion? Please vote.
Seven yeas, zero nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F2, ordinance 2025. It's got a long introduction. An ordinance to amend section 20578 site development regulations of Article 12 Office District, section 20583 site development regulations of Article 13 LC Limited Commercial District, section 20589 site development regulations of Article 14 CC Community Commercial District, section 20594 site development regulations of Article 15 GC General Commercial District, section 205-103 site development regulations of Article 17 LI Limited Industrial District, section 205-107 site development regulations of Article 18 GI General Industrial District, section 205-193 application of Article 32 Industrial Design Guidelines, section 205-219 principal buildings of Article 34 supplemental site development regulations, and section 205-302 special use permit procedure of Article 40 administrative and procedures, all of chapter 205 zoning having to do with large project special use permit requirements, the application of the industrial design guidelines, and the amendment process for special use permits. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2025? Motion by Councilman Fanslow. Second by Councilman Stube. Any discussion? Please vote.
Seven yeas, zero nays.
Motion passes. F3, ordinance 2029, an ordinance to amend the current fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2029? Motion by Councilman Gaines. Second by Councilman Glover. Any discussion? Please vote.
Seven yeas, zero nays.
Motion passes. F4, resolution R240151, a public hearing and a vote, a resolution to approve setting the 2024-2025 property tax request. It's a public hearing. I'll open it. Do we have any proponents or opponents? Close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve resolution R240151? Motion by Councilman Stube. Second by Councilman Fanslow. Any council discussion? Because it's a topic that everybody's interested in, I do want to note that we're lowering the levy about 8.5%, going from 0.401417 to 0.367361, which is about just shy of a 3.5 cent drop, so 8.5%. Is there any council discussion? Please vote.
Seven yeas, zero nays.
Motion passes. Related item for the budget F5, ordinance 2030, an ordinance to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2030? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Gaines. As we do every year, we do ask for a motion to approve, well, we have two items. One is the amendment that comes every year on third reading that's proposed by staff. That was outlined on page 27 and 29 of the packet. And we did mention that in the introductory budget letter 6 or 7 weeks ago that we'd have an amendment. So is there a motion to approve the amendment as proposed by staff as outlined on pages 27 to 29? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Sunday. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
And the second item we do every year is the motion to approve the 1% increase to the lid on restricted funds authority. Again, that's the authorization for the 1%. We do not use the 1%, but by passing it, we have the capability if an emergency or something comes up. So is there a motion to approve the 1% increase to the lid, the restricted funds authority? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Stube. This does require a supermajority to pass. Please, any discussion?
I have a question.
Mr. Sunday.
Would we have the ability to raise that later when the need arises rather than just approve it ahead of time when we don't know we're going to need to?
I'm going to ask for Nancy's clarification, but my understanding of the state is if we don't allow the 1% now, we lose the authority. So that's what we're doing, is keeping the authority. If we don't pass it tonight, we lose the authority altogether. But Nancy, can you clarify?
That is correct. We would lose it. There is some concern whether this section will apply under the new law anyway, but I'm moving forward this budget with the statutes that we had in place as we
Now this is
brought it forward.
And again, what we're voting on tonight is giving us is reserving the authority. If we want to actually use that authority, we would still have to amend the budget and come forward to you to actually use the authority.
And would we require a supermajority at that point as well?
That would, at that point, it would be a budget amendment, which would be a normal budget amendment, which would not be a supermajority. Any other, did that answer the question for you? Okay. Any other discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
And again, to Nancy's point, I think with the special session and everything that just passed, this probably changes everything anyway as far as what the lid restrictions are and how that all works out. So with the two budgets approved, then is there a motion to amend lines? I'm sorry, we don't need that one. We were going to have a motion if it didn't pass. We had a motion, but it did pass, so we're okay. So is there any council discussion on the motion as amended? Please vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F6, ordinance 2031, an ordinance to establish 2024-2025 salary ranges for management exempt positions. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2031? Motion by Mr. Fanslow. Second by Mr. Glover. Any discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F7, Resolution R240152, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a Class C liquor license for TBBPB, Inc., doing business as Papillion Bowl, 204 East Lincoln, and a manager application for Ann Phillips. It's a public hearing. I'll call for any proponents. Is the applicant here? Thank you. If you want to, since you're new and we got a little bit of time, you want to come up and just give a little bit of a commercial of what you're doing with the change? And if you state your name and address for the record when you come up.
Sure. Is it coming through? Yep, okay. My name is Andrew Phillips. Address is 20806 Ames Avenue. What do you want to know about me? What do you want to know?
A lot of times when there's a manager application, there's actually a change in the business, either ownership or the business model. So,
sure. Yeah, we are looking to purchase Papillion Bowl from the current owners. Hoping to do that in a couple months. Hoping to keep it mostly the same, but part of that is we're going to need a liquor license to sell to the bowlers. Otherwise, they're not going to show up. So,
well, appreciate you investing in Papillion. Papillion Bowl's been an important part of the community, so thanks.
Yep.
Any other proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve resolution R240152? Motion by Councilman Gaines, second by Councilman Sunday. Any discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Congratulations, and thanks again for investing. Appreciate it. F8 Resolution R240155, a resolution to approve an extension of the R&R Commerce Park South 2 preliminary plat. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R240155? Motion by Councilman Stubbe. Second by Councilman Fanslow. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. It's all the regular agenda items. Committee reports, I believe Public Safety met. Mr. Stubbe, acting chair.
Yes, because I was the last one into the room, I got voted in as being the chair tonight. So just stay heads up to other council members when you're the last one in the room, just be prepared. So the Public Safety Committee talked a little bit about a request that had been made from Councilmember Gaines relative to crematoriums. And so he had requested that staff go out and do some research, put together some information. He wanted that information to be provided to the committee. Good discussion. There were some slight modifications that had been made by the committee back to council staff, and there was a vote to 3-0 to actually take the next step, which is to take it to the Planning Commission.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I don't think any other committees have met. Any comments from the floor? See none. Council comments? Last couple of weeks, there's a, I think it's a national organization, but they've got a Nebraska chapter, the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. They had a Heartland Summit. What they try to do is talk about decorum and diplomacy and how to work, and that meeting was in Omaha. I had the opportunity to attend that. A lot of it was agricultural based because there were a lot of trade missions globally on agriculture, and of course Nebraska being a good player. So I don't know if we got anything specific on Papillion, but it was an interesting thing to be invited to, and I think it opened the door for us being involved in some other items. We also had a unique opportunity. Ms. Powers is president of the Nebraska City Managers Association, and they have a trade partnership with Norway. And there was about 7 or 8 Norwegians that were in town for about a week, and we were able to host them for an afternoon to give them a tour, talk about economic development and U.S. Local management. So that was very interesting. I think six of the 8 were city managers. One was a dean of a university in public policy, and the other one was an elected official. A lot of them cities about our size, or at least the metro area. So that was interesting. Appreciated the time to do that. We also had the sewer agency meeting, nothing major out of it this month. And then Mr. Sturzman and I had a meeting with Noddle Companies today on a potential development. May or may not be in our jurisdiction, but it may impact the timing of the interstate interchange. And so we were invited to the table to be aware of that. And I think it would fit with our long-term plans. Don't know if anything will come of it, but it was nice to be invited. Reminder, there's a couple of organizations in Papillion in the next month or so. We're doing some blood drives, so watch for that information if you're interested. Ms. Powers mentioned the Downtown Business Association was having some open houses with the businesses on the 13th and 14th. That's nice to see, bringing some good energy. I've mentioned at the last couple of council meetings, the library is having a book festival and an author expo. September 20th or 21st, I mean, and if you know of a local artist, I mean, an author, probably not too late to participate. You can reach out to Mr. Kovar for that. And then they're also hosting another author event at the Landing September 26th with a New York Times bestseller. So library's doing some interesting activities. And then just another reminder on that art survey. That is a key part of our working to have a creative district. And the important thing about the creative district, again, that's a designation by the state, and there's some grant dollars through the Arts Council for cities that have creative districts, and the idea is how do you use arts and culture for economic development purposes. And so that is an important survey, so I'd encourage you to fill that out. And again, it's in the water bill, so hopefully we'll get a high response rate on that. We do have a closed session tonight. So is there a motion to go into closed session to protect the public interest to discuss land negotiations? Motion. Motion by Councilman Gaines, second by Councilman Glover. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
Can we vote one more time, please?
I'll state for the record, the purpose for the closed session is only to discuss land negotiations.
It's okay.
The closed session will include the mayor, city council, city administrator, deputy city administrator, city clerk, and community development coordinator.